episode of Death Parade is a gorgeous anime experience that will dive into the very depths of your soul. This is an episode that will teach you the very value of life, and maybe you should try and put some things into perspective. What I honestly loved most about this episode, though, was how it was sort of left up in the air for interpretation as to how the whole Quindecim thing really works. That's something that a lot of people are going to be talking about for years to come. But honestly, the story of Death Parade as a whole is an amazing story. It really is about how you have to really live your life. It's about how you can't make petty mistakes and how you have to value your family, your friends, those around you. You have to be conscious about all of these things because you only get one shot at this thing called life, my friends. And if you screw it up, that's it. There's no get out of jail free card, you know. This isn't going to be like the anime version where you're going to get a freaking button that will literally allow you to bring yourself back to life. That's a big theme in this week's episode. Chiyuki actually has the opportunity to come back to life and be with her family again at the cost of another person dying. It's honestly one of the most heartbreaking and hard to watch scenes of the entire series, and I'm really glad that eventually Chiyuki did not go through with it. This scene is really crucial because not only we get to see a lot of the backgrounds of the character of Chiyuki, but we finally get to see the emotion come from Decim. He actually sort of turns human in this week's episode in a scene that's represented when this weird, fake, dreamlike hollow world that he created literally shatters like glass all around them. It's probably one of the most gorgeous scenes from the entire series, and Decim can no longer control himself. He literally takes in all of her sadness and everything about her dying and the fact that she didn't have an opportunity to understand that she should value her life before it was too late, and it causes him to just break down and cry. He can't control himself. While all of this is going on, there's this other subplot with Oculus who, they almost make it seem like he's going to be like a big antagonistic force, like he's going to be a big villain for the show. Really, he's not that at all. He's just an arbiter who's just really hardcore and by the book. He feels that what Nona is doing is not right. Nona believes that the arbiters should become more human. They should have personalities and emotions. It's really up to them to make these big judgment calls. It's basically this way, things aren't always going to be so black and white, and that's what Decim was for. He was like created just for this purpose. And then it eventually goes back to Chiyuki and Decim, and then we finally get to see Chiyuki go away, and of course, she goes to reincarnation. It's an incredibly heartbreaking goodbye, but what I really love about it is we also get a post-credit scene with Ginty and Clavis hanging out in their bar. You might actually notice that Ginty even has one of those wooden doll flasks. One of them looks just like Mayu. I don't know if this is like his tribute to her or not, but it's kind of an unsettling and interesting scene to say the least. And that's another thing that's really great about this episode, too, is that there really isn't, like, a clear-cut villain. They tried to make it seem like maybe Oculus or Ginty was going to be, like, the bad guy. The show doesn't have a bad guy. It's not really that type of show whatsoever. It's really all about the message. There's also a little bit of humor in this episode, which honestly was a nice touch, because at the very end of the episode, when Chiyuki is going away, she asks for Decim to smile, and he has this one big creepy smile, which doesn't fit him whatsoever, and then eventually you finally get to see him with his most natural smile that we've seen from the series. And really, it just feels nice. It feels like now that he's gained these emotions, he's going to be much better at doing these judgments and actually getting to know these people who come to the Quindecim bar. Now, what's really interesting about the ending of the series is that it actually leaves it open for the possibility of more in the future. They could bring Death Parade back for a second season, and they could just include some brand new characters, or maybe even just some brand new bartenders altogether. This world is rife for building upon. I don't know if it's something that they want to do, or if they really just wanted to get their whole message across with the story and the characters that they used here. Either way, I think it was an amazing anime experiment. That's definitely one of the best series that I think I've ever seen, period. So what's the rundown? On the final episode of Death Parade, this was a very nice final episode because there was finality to everything, despite the fact that they didn't really explain, like, how this entire afterworld, like, place works. That's the biggest mystery of Death Parade, and yet it's the thing you really don't need to know. It's one of those things, like, when they finally do explain it, it'll be just kind of like one of those, oh, okay moments. Like, it really won't change that much. The real story here is about the life of Chiyuki, and how basically, you know, she gave up on life, and how that's like a really big problem, especially for young people. They feel like there's no other option, and they just decide to kill themselves. There's so much more to life, and it's not just your life that you're going to be affecting. It's going to be your family, it's going to be your friends, it's going to have this ripple effect that's literally going to go around the world and just affect a lot of people in different ways, and that's really why life is so important and why we should freaking cherish it so much. And this is an anime series that actually reminds us of that. Not only that, but it's incredibly atmospheric, it has some really interesting characters, and it was really bold how, in the first half of the series, they would constantly reintroduce these new characters who ended up being really instrumental in how Chiyuki basically was sort of brought back from the darkness. There was that one moment where she was just about to press the button when she suddenly realized all of those crucial moments during the games where people were sort of about to bring out those extreme moments that were about to, like, bring out their darkness. And that's what caused her to sort of reel back and not hit that button anymore. She had her shot. She finally realized it. But then when she finally started to shove that on Decim, he completely freaked out and flipped, and that was just insane. Not only that, but there's also little small revelations. Like, I didn't know if this was brought up before, but I think they probably did. I think it was something about, like, the dummies that go into the void. That's actually what makes up the arbiters. So they actually do have to send people to the void in order to actually exist and create new arbiters. And I don't know how that actually works. Maybe it just depends on how many people are actually dying at a time, is how many they need. Like, there's still a lot of the structure of that world that they still have to get into. Like, especially all those other side characters who are sort of shown, like, in the post-credit scenes. There was that one girl who had, like, the saber-toothed tiger, like, weird, like, head thing that she would wear. Like, I wanted to learn so much more about her, and we really got nothing out of that. I wanted to learn from Quinn and all those other characters. Like, this series really could do a sequel just explaining all of that other stuff and showing us the other world of Death Parade. And I already announced in my reaction video, I am going to make a discussion video. I do believe that Death Parade and Death Note take place in the same universe. I think they actually can fit, and this could possibly open up something in the future. Just a fun video I want to make. But let's get back on topic. The final episode of Death Parade was really good. It wrapped up the entire Chiyuki story, and Decim himself has actually been touched by a human and felt human emotions for the very first time, and it was just a really amazing series altogether. Animation, artwork, character design, character development, story, message, it's really got it all. This is a high-class anime series that if you're an anime fan, you'd be hard-pressed to not watch this one. It's absolutely amazing. I'd go as far as to say it's in my top 5 favorite anime of all time. Probably my top 5. What are my other 4? That's a video for another time. But I will say that this week's episode was fantastic. It didn't give me all of the answers I wanted, but I'm very satisfied with the ending because there's always a possibility it could come back. And even if it doesn't, this was still an amazing series. One that's definitely worth watching. So I'm going to give the final episode of the series a 5 out of 5. The entire series overall, I think, is also a 5 out of 5. It's just an amazing anime experience that you definitely have to check out. Amazing show. Like I said, I did a reaction to this final episode. If you guys want to check it out, it'll be in the description box below. Thank you guys for watching my review of the final episode of Death Parade. If you watched this week's episode, please tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What did you think of the entire series overall? Do you want to see more Death Parade in the future? Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Follow us on social media like Facebook and on Twitter. And thank you guys again for watching. And as always, stay dandy, baby.